You're talking about the WNBA?
Now we can forget all of that. I want to skip into what you about the church and the exile. You said you was reading it last night.
Oh, the anti-Semitic bill.
Anti-Semitic bill.
Right. It has another name too.
I don't.
All these bills have different names, but
Anti-Semitic
Yeah.
bill is a good one.
Yeah.
First, I want to get into what that can actually do to the world if that takes place. A lot of people don't even know what that is.
in my opinion, it can cause a greater division. It's just going to increase the divide between um, Jews and those who are not. Biblically, Jews and Gentiles. That's basically this is how
That's what
God
the Bible
sees.
talks about it, right?
Yeah, God.
Right.
But Jesus already brought that together when he came. He said, "Jews and Gentiles will see the kingdom of heaven." We'll
So what's happening now?
um,
If they do get the opportunity, if
Jews?
they do, and let's not even say the Jews. Let's just. The reason why I didn't want to pinpoint the Jews because I feel that right now they're taking enough.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot on their shoulders. Let's just say that they are able to eliminate the Bible.
oh,
If they are able to eliminate the Bible, because it does seem that they're on the path to try to eliminate God
yeah.
or the story of God, the myth, how people would say the myth of God, the legend of God. Why?
Because mankind is in a spiritual battle in which we cannot see. Those who are not spiritual, those who do not know God, the folks that were never touched by Jesus, because once God communicates to you like, hey, here I am, this is my son, and blah blah blah,
Right.
your eyes have been opened. It can never leave you, even if you become atheists. Because atheists are people who knew God but didn't. Atheists are folks that see see God as not a part of their lifestyle, so they're not. You know what I mean? Okay,
Yes.
that's great, but I don't want to live like that. I acknowledge you. I know who you are, but I'm not following you.
These are the people that you would call, but the scientific.
Not even the scientific community, just like folks who came to because we have free will.
Come to the conclusion that the other things happen besides through God.
Yeah.
But my point is, right now we're over war over God. We at war over God.
Yeah.
The world is at war over God. We are divided.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't reached this side. I always said it hasn't reached this side too tough yet.
Mm-hmm.
But we do go through it with the Catholic Church and the other churches.
Mm-hmm.
Sooner or later, there's going to be a line that's crossed. It's either you're going to believe in God or you're not going to believe in God. When that time comes, how do you think the people will fare out? Even Jews are fighting against Jews.
Yeah. I think that's when the Spirit of God comes in. Because without the Spirit, you're going to deny it. You're not going to go in that direction. That's what happened with Peter. And he was hanging out with Jesus in the flesh.
He denied him 3 times.
He denied him 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
After all that, he saw that God, Jesus was God. Jesus is God. So by him seeing all the miracles and everything that Jesus did, and Jesus claimed the entire time, you see me, you see God. He was pretty much. That's why the Pharisees were just like, "Why? Wait a minute, that's blasphemy. There's no man on earth is God. What are you talking about? There's only God's up there. What are you talking about?" And Jesus was like, "You see me, you see the Father."
Can you explain the Holy Divinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit?
In my opinion, I believe the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are one. God is omnipotent. He's everywhere. He's everything, and He had to come down in the flesh to communicate with us because we weren't getting it in the New Testament. If you read every single book of the New Testament, even
You're right.
the prophets of the old, Jeremiah, Abraham, all these folks, it was a hard time for them to grasp that, because wait a minute, you talking about this being that's like created the entire universe is talking to me? That's impossible. Muslims say that. How could God be born out of a baby? How could God come out of a human being? And he's so pure and we're not. And then I remember I had a conversation with a Muslim like that, and I couldn't answer that question until years later. And then I was taught that who are we to limit the power of God?
Do you think Muslims have an opportunity now to present their religion more as they have done? Because a lot of Muslims have reached every nationality right now.
Yep, Islam. Yep.
Islam. Excuse me.
Yeah.
It has reached all nationalities right now.
Mm-hmm.
Could that be the one remaining religion that stands?
It can be, but not in this country. Because, of course, you got to remember, the government looks at people from Islam with a different lens. Are these people terrorists? They are, what's that word of? They're kind of like radical.
Radical. I can go with that.
That's how the government is.
Right. No.
As soon as you see Islam coming in and they're building up all these mosques in the country, folks are kind of like, okay, what's going on with that? Because they have that reputation, that stigma, that people think that Islamic people are.
What bothers me the most is that right now you see the Five Bros putting up a wall of protection for every religious, ethnic group out there, every building, every Muslim building, every Jewish building, every Orthodox, every building is being protected. But when we was going through that stuff with ourselves, and I always say this, because they're so quick to help out, I don't want to say third world countries, but they forget all about Haiti all the time.
Because there's no economic interest
in Haiti.
Yeah, there's no economic. The only interest in terms at a greater level. I want to say the level of like what the government can use, but private organizations can go there and set up shop.
Take up shop and set up and.
But the reason why they're hesitant is because what's going on right now in Haiti. These gangs, they overturned their own government.
The world is in an uproar. Somebody said the world is in an uproar because evil has no place to hide.
Evil. The reason why the world is becoming the way it is two things. We have social media now, so now we're more aware of it.
It's killing us too.
I'm quite sure there was a lot of this going on back in the days when we didn't.
Right.
But now we're seeing it. However, and then two, the devil's turning up the heat because he knows his time is short. That's telling us, that's telling Christians that, yeah, Jesus is coming. You don't know when, but look for the signs. He said that, look for the signs.
He does say that.
The signs are happening now.
He does say that.
You know what's crazy? On the micro level, you turn on the TV or you turn on your streaming services or whatever. I was about to say radio, but how that many people listen to radio anymore?
Not anymore.
Look at the cases that come into this office.
Yes.
These folks they're between
12 and 25. I would say that, yes.
With no
gun cases, murder, rape.
Yesterday, 4 schools had slashing incidents in New York, in the DOE.
Brooklyn, Bronx, and 2 in Queens. Yes.
That incident that happened, that was like yesterday in the news. That young man with the mask in the car, he just chopped out of the car and then he started firing at the car.
I don't think it's God. And you know what? I'm not going to say that. Because I always say that whenever we start talking about the youth, and we always talk about the youth being out of control, I always mention the fact that there's no guidance. Mm-hmm. What if there is guidance? What if it's the guidance that we're just not used to? And what I say to you is this: most parents were able to sit down and have one-on-one with their kids, but you have to remember there were no phones, there were no internet.
Yep.
There were no iPads, there were no iPhones, there were none of these things that a child can actually look up and say, you know what, I'd rather talk to this device than talk to the parent. Right. But now, the devices have become the parents.
Yep.
Can we fault them for that?
Fault
we introduce. You have to. We are the ones who introduce the child to the devices. Mm-hmm. We lack the education by giving them a book. We give them phones, we give them tablets, we give them iPads, and we sit there and we say to them, learn how to use it. And they do learn. Mm-hmm. From ages 5 to up, they have learned to use the phone to switch, to know what cartoons they want to watch, to know the lessons they want to watch.
Yep.
There's a message in everything.
Right.
What if we turn that around?
I think we would have a better family structure.
But will we have a better outlook?
Definitely. Because when you take away socialization, passing down the beliefs and the cultures that we were experiencing, to like we have experienced in the past,
right?
But we have conversations at the dinner table. When the TV is not a tool to off. Basically handle your parenting, because there are parents out here that they don't have time, they don't have the patience. They say, this kid's having a fit. Let's just put
him in front of the TV,
and then the kid is quiet.
But usually that works.
But it works. But you're not teaching that kid anything. If anything, you're doing a disservice, because that kid is not learning how to manage. If it's an opportunity to teach that kid how to express his or herself, or accept no for an answer, following instructions, simple life skills.
It's funny. The thing was coming up. What now is the kids is with the TV and the internet and the phones. But when we was coming up, we were latchkey kids. So it was all about, these kids are left in the house by themselves after school because the parents were at work.
Right.
And and how time has changed and evolved, because now that you can leave the kids at home, but there's TV and entertainment. Before there was no entertainment in the home.
And even if there were entertainment, the parent was there to explain what's going on. That's
true. That's true too.
Yeah, that's a part of parenting.
That's true.
You want to know the reason why I'm using the belt? This is why I'm using the belt, because you did A, B, and C. What you should do next time so that you won't see the belt. This is what you do. That's omitted. The only thing that now is pretty much you're punished. I'm taking your phone from you.
But you would think at this time with parents who are working, it would be easier because your phone and your iPad and your computer has your FaceTime on it.
Right.
You couldn't FaceTime back then.
Right.
So when you got home from school, you called mama at the job.
Right.
If your mother called and you at a certain time and you didn't pick up that phone, there was a problem.
Right. But parents ain't doing that.
They're not doing that.
They're not doing that. It's like
parents ain't getting out the bed now.
No.
Kids are walking themselves to school younger and younger.
I see it.
Younger and younger.
I see kids
younger
at the bus
and younger.
stop. I'm like, wow.
Yes. Early in the morning too.
That's how kids get snatched.
Kids early in the morning, 5, 6 years old, waiting at the bus stop at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning by themselves on their way to school. And who knows if they make it to school?
Right, you're right.
Who knows if they make it to school? And then these parents want to know how, not my child. If not your child, whose child? Somebody out here is running amok. But I even say that about myself too, as I take pride in being a father who's home all the time. Mm-hmm. I might be missing something too. And as a father who was raised by a father, that doesn't mean he always knew where I was at either.
Right.
I didn't test him because I was afraid of him, but I still was able to do my own thing. I can't blame it on a one parent household. It has to be more to it than that.
I had my father in my life for he died when I was 29 for 29 years. However, him and I didn't have a relationship. He just pretty much
father-son
wrote up the rules and said, this is what you need to do as a man in the house, and that's it. But we didn't have those long conversations of like, well, what does that mean? What's the definition of being a man? I never got that from him. I got that from my mother. I was around my mother the whole time. My sister was under my father, but he was the same way with my sister, So we learned how to love from my mother, and then also learned how to be independent, self-sufficient.
Do you think that's missing in a lot of homes? Do you think the structure of a man is missing in a home?
It is because like the other day, I did a career fair, and I looked at, there was these 3 young brothers. They look like they just graduated from high school, but they showed up to the career fair with the do-rag and the headphones, the jeans, and the street outfit. And I'm like, I'm looking at the three of them, and I'm looking at everybody else, and I'm just looking at them like I wanted to go up to them and be like, brothers, man.
Don't you know any better?
For real,
Don't you know
they're
any
not gonna
better?
take you seriously here, man. You coming in, you know what I'm saying? If anything, somebody probably might call security.
Whose fault is that, though? Wait, can you even? I can't say that. I can't blame it on home.
Well,
What if the parents don't have the means to buy what the child needs to go to the interview?
Well, in this case with these guys, I mean, one of the kids had he had Beats headphones. That's like $300.
That don't mean he bought them.
True, he might have. You know,
I don't want to put that on him, but it doesn't necessarily mean he bought them. Could have been a gift.
True.
He could have took them. I don't want to put it that way, but I'm just saying there's a perception of what people see on another person to make a person say, "Hey, I can tell." It's like, you know what? It's like me driving. I drive a nice car, thank God, and that's all due to the fact of however. But when I'm at the light and a person taps on, "Can I borrow $1?" I don't have $1 for you. But look at what you're driving.
I get it. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
The perception of you thinking because I drive a nice car, I can afford to give you $1. How about understanding that $1 went into this truck? Because it takes gas and oil, and it takes certain machinery and fine things to keep tuned in order for me to just to go from A to B.
Right.
So I say that about young kids too. You think about these young kids who have these parents who have jobs. And this is where the economy is getting messed up. Parents are no longer doing 8-hour shifts.
You're doing like 12 hours.
They're doing 12-hour shifts.
Working 2 jobs.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
So you can't necessarily blame it on the parent if they have to live. Is it necessarily the child who's not willing to learn?
Yeah, but I mean,
something the child is seeing is more powerful than the home.
Yeah, and that usually happens when the child becomes, I believe, according to psychology, children kind of leave the family circle and go into the friend circle around between the ages of 9 and 12. They start to separate from the family because there's influences at school, so they're connecting with people. But it's the parent's job to make sure from day one to make sure that kid knows this.
Even if the parent does his job and it doesn't work out the way they planned it.
Yeah, there are cases where they've done all they could, but this kid is still going in that direction. Yeah. I get that too. But to set up that foundation, is to establish that what word can I use for that? That foundation to pretty much say, hey, look, this is basically what you're going to be learning from now to it's constant teaching. Effective praising the kid on good behaviors, helping that kid identify or differentiate between the negative and positive behaviors, constant communication. That whole thing about sitting at the table, that doesn't exist. I mean, well, it probably does.
No, you're right about that. It doesn't exist. It doesn't.
But there's some families that because when I was doing workshops in middle schools and elementary schools, there were some parents that still do that, but most of them don't. They're just like, the kid is eating in this room and the parents are in another room.
Do you think that has an effect? When the family doesn't get to eat together.
Yeah.
Dinner is important together. I say that all the time. One of my podcast shows on my Sunday Live is based around sitting at the dinner table and having a conversation, because those are the times when I was a kid and I used to sit with my parents. They used to find out what was going on at school,
right,
what was going on at work, what went on, how this went where, whatever. And we would find out about them too, as well as them finding out about us. But you don't have that no more. Like I said, with the parents doing the 12-hour shifts and kids coming home early, they don't have time to sit down with each other.
And then they go on social media, and social media, they really don't care about what these kids are learning. They care about money, how many subscribers they have. They claim to say, hey, we have all of these rules set, so if you're at a certain age, but Instagram doesn't ask you your age when you join Instagram.
But do you know that some of these parents are pushing some of these children to be YouTubers and to subscribe and to make the money?
Yeah. Because there are times that the kids are the breadwinners.
God.
That's unfortunate. And that happens in the poor areas of whatever community. You know, that family's got to make money, right?
Yeah.
So if they see that, if this kid is like, that's why there are kids that are drug dealers. That's why kids join gangs, not only for the protection but also for the money.
For the money.
These gangs, these guys are.
Yeah, they're
They're
ruthless.
serious.
Yeah, they are serious.
They got a serious.
They got
system
worse.
going.
They got worse.
These guys are freaking.
Anytime you could come to the courts here and full blown out in the street, guns, knives,
Yeah.
right in front of court officers and police.
And,
they
and
got
they're
serious.
the mask. All you see is that. All you
They're
see
their
is
eyes.
the eyes, and
Yeah,
that's it.
you're right about that.
And it's like, wow, really? And I remember a while ago, I had a conversation. I was in a really bad school. It was right across from Edenwald Project. I think it was PS 142 but John Philip Sousa School. That's what it. I was in a classroom full of gang members. The classroom had like at least 10 of them in there, and it was full. It was like 30 students. And I'm talking to these kids, and then I got really, because, I don't come at them with the finger and everything. I make it like a conversation. Like, what's going on in your hood? What's going on? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why are you wearing them colors? Because I learned that when I worked in the juvenile detention.
Right.
Waste Town. And I said something to them that made the entire class quiet. I said, "You in a gang, right?" He goes, "Yeah, you in a gang. You guys in gangs, right? You see all these all these gang members going at each other, right? Yeah. What color are they?" And they're looking at me like, obvious, black, Hispanic. I said, exactly. We're killing each other. There was a time when we weren't running from each other or ducking bullets from each other.
Right.
We were running from white men with white sheets.
Right.
With bullets. There were times where if you even looked at a white person, you were arrested. If you walk on the same sidewalk as a white person coming towards you, you could be arrested. You couldn't even you couldn't swim if you jumped into a public swimming pool, you would be arrested. You know how you just you could walk into a bodega and buy whatever, bag of chips, and you couldn't do that back then. You had to go to black owned or colored, they call it colored stores.
You're right too.
Right?
You're right.
But the point that I homed in on was that we weren't running from each other. We weren't killing each other. It was the folks on the white sheets that were killing us.
Yes.
Now they don't have to do that so
Now
much.
the tables have turned.
It's like they have a job that sells itself, or does the job itself, which is basically us killing each other in these neighborhoods. Because that's really what it is.
Nobody cares. And I hate to say,
even these cops. There are a lot of these.
No, they
cops
don't.
care.
Listen, and I can't. And this is what I told somebody: teachers, lawyers, police officers. I can't blame them. You know why? Because 9 out of 10 times they can't even communicate with the parent.
Yeah.
You can't even communicate with the parent because the parent is lost. Half the time these kids half the time it's kids having kids and they're dropping them off somewhere and leaving them somewhere to go and to deal with some type of other endeavors besides the children.
Yep.
And that's what happens with a lot of kids. They fail to learn to read and write. These kids and it's this thing going around now in school called IED. IED is like they're trying to use it on most of the kids who have HDAD.
Oh, right. It's like a replacement for special ed.
Yes. Now I want to say as a
special needs now. It's called
special needs.
Yeah.
You can't use special ed no more. You got to use. You can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
seriously, because they get offended by that.
Oh, yeah, I know. There's so many things you can't say anymore, man.
It's like my thing is I'm glad they have a system like that helps out the children who are underprivileged, but it also stops their growth because they don't get to graduate and move on normally like normal kids would because they have this stipulation over their head. Mm-hmm. This one little stipulation of the IEB, they put that on their head. They make the kid carry that for the rest of his life. There is duration in time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's sad because a child can develop.
Yeah.
A child who has HDAD, he can develop. Mm-hmm. He can develop, or a child who has dyslexia because they see their B's and D's backwards.
Right.
They can develop, but do they give them time to develop?
No, 'cause it depends on what school you're at.
Yeah.
Because, most of these public schools don't have those type of resources.
No.
You have to go to like a
charter school.
Charter schools have that, but it's very tough to get in those schools.
Yeah, but the whole point is the charter school to take a child they know has a problem. So you do believe that the charter school is taking the money too? Because they got to get paid for these children as you consider them special ed.
Well, I mean, these charter schools get more money than
A lot of
the non-charter schools, and both of them are city schools.
But the budget is different.
The budget is different.
Private funding.
Yeah,
I always said that.
yeah.
There's a thing going on right now, and I was going to get into that during later this week about a young man, a man who owns a school in Texas, and he took money from Texas and tried to put it. He has another school in Colorado. To make a long story short, they wouldn't allow him to take the Texas money to use on a Colorado school because they said that it was a foundation, a thing that he didn't get the money through the school taxes. He got it through fundraising and foundations for the kids and parents who are interested in the school.
Right.
So they're telling him that because you did that in Texas, you can't take the money out of here and put it to another school. I never understood that. Here's a man who owns 2 schools. He owns 2 schools. He's taking money because this school is doing well. He needs help over here.
Right.
But he's not allowed to do it.
Oh, that's...
And how does one man get to own a private school? How? How does the government grant you that type of wish that you get to open a private school?
That's one hell of a...
God. Anyway,
that's some serious grant writing.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Like, you really put something
he had
in
to
there
have yes. All he knows about money that nobody knows about. That's unpublished. That's an unpublished dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I mean, you're right though. That the IEDs that limits the kid from growth. To tell you the truth,
it does.
I came from that kind of background. When I was in elementary school and through my entire middle school, I was in special ed. I had a problem with focusing.
Right.
But during that time, you're talking about the early '80s, late '70s. They throw you in there with everybody else that has like
that's
more
right
severe. Like
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I when I got to the 8th grade, I started to mature, and I started my hyperactivity slowed down a bit because I started acknowledging my surroundings and myself. Once you get into your teens, you start to notice things about yourself physically and mentally. You start to change. You go through changes.
Some of these programs don't want to let these kids go. They follow these kids all the way up until they're 18, 19, and then the parent has to sit in the court in order to keep custody of the child.
Yeah. That's just...
It's a lot going on right now.
Yeah, I think it's worse now. Like,
I think it is worse.
It is worse. Last time I was in a middle school was last year in the spring, around this time. That was the end of concept. It was towards the end of concept, and just looking at the behaviors and kids coming to school with their hoods on and in the classroom and not caring about. I mean, I went to a career fair at a school, middle school, and I asked this class, "Where do you see yourself?" And like, what do you want to be when you get older? And kids were staring at me. I had a blank stare, like,
wow.
And I was like, I mean, does anybody want to go to college? What high school do you want to go to? Because there's steps. And do you want to get out of the Bronx? Things like that. These kids are just like, nah, I just want to be an influencer, or I want to be someone on YouTube a gamer, and blah blah blah.
It shows though.
And I'm like, okay, that's cool because this is this generation's type of jobs. But what's your backup plan? What if that doesn't work?
You still need education.
Yeah.
Because I tell you, some of your successful YouTubers, although they act like they're not, they're very well educated. They're very well educated. They act like they're not. They try to portray that image. Because I guess, when you're looking in your visual and you see it, you look at it and say, you know what, I got to have a way for people to see. And once I get them to see who I am and the way I act, and it's what I talk about, be more meaningful. But yeah, some of these are very well educated.
They need to be, because you got to, people fact check. So you really got to have extensive knowledge, and you got to articulate it well, and, to actually catch the attention of folks, you have to have a catchy phrase, or you know what I'm saying. In order to do that, that requires intelligence. You can't, you got to sit back and research. Okay, how can I get the attention of these
people think it's easy.
It's not.
People think it's easy.
Tell it ain't.
I said that if you were to really sit back, and this is what I'll tell you next week. I want to get into this thing called it's called the scatter market. I really want to get into that, and it's about a lot of black-owned media. The thing is, people are afraid of black-owned media, and I think the reason why is because they are intelligent. They realize they found a way how to make a dollar without taking a dollar, and the fact that they can use social media as an event to broadcast, I think that hurts a lot of TV places, radio station, even the music industry right now is taking a hit because these kids are making millions of dollars off of YouTube. One interview can change a person's life forever.
Look at Doja Cat.
Yeah, you're right.
She came from TikTok.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, she came from TikTok, and look at her now.
And made millions. Made millions.
Yeah, but the true issue to all of this, though, when it comes to economic opportunities in whatever industry, this has always been this way in this country. White folks, there are white folks out there that are very wealthy that own a majority of everything in this country, and they're then you have us black folks that come, we're here, we're free now, we're not slaves anymore. Now we want the same opportunities, and that's where racism comes in, because they use racism to basically keep what they have, so that they don't have to give it to us. So it's really not about color. It's just about, I'm not gonna, because if you hear any of these speeches when it comes to racist folks, they say the same thing all the time. They're taking our jobs. They're taking our schools. They're taking our communities.
That's what that means?
Yeah, because if we come along and say, hey, we want the same opportunities, we would like to share, they don't want to do that. It's greed. They're like, why do you think that's why slavery happened? Because, come on, I'm a business owner, right? A white business owner. I have a plantation, and I have zero expenses. These people are building all of this for me for free. That means I have, so I don't have no overhead. I don't have any of that.
Right.
No, there are no expenditures. I have these people doing this. They're making the cotton, or they're doing whatever they're doing for me for free, and I don't have to pay them health insurance and nothing like that. And if they give me any lip, I'll kill them or punish them severely. And the only way I can keep that is to make sure that they believe they are not human. They're property. And that's and the reason why that is to basically build wealth, because that's what the Civil War is about. The Southerners was just like, wait a minute, you talk about freeing the slaves, then how are we gonna make our money?
Money, that's right.
That's our bread and butter.
It was about wealth. And I tell a lot of people that too. That
it comes all the way to this day, now.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
There are corporations that are white that own everything, but majority of Walmart. You have Walmart. You have Apple,
especially in the communities. You're right. Go ahead.
You have all of these big names. Look at these sports teams, these franchises. They're paying these athletes all this money because they're filling the seats.
Right.
If these athletes are not filling the seats, they're not going to
pay the money. That's the thing I was saying about the WNBA. You can't pay these women $1 million, $2 million salaries if you don't fill the seats. But maybe the arena's too big.
Nah.
No?
People will come, but you gotta make people come. You gotta not make them, you gotta attract them to it. Attract them. This young lady from Iowa, she's the beginning.
You think so?
Yeah, she's the beginning. There's gonna be, first of all, I've never seen a female basketball player compete with a male basketball player in the 3-point competition.
Okay.
Steph Curry and her.
They're shooting.
They're just shooting.
But shooting doesn't require competition.
Right. But
it requires timing, range, and metrics.
But it's now you see a female player and a male player in the same sport, playing the same sport. It's basketball. It's just.
I'll agree if I see them running up and down.
Now that's gonna come. We ain't gonna see it yet for a while, but when it happens, if she can fill up them seats, they're gonna these recruiters, they're gonna be looking for more. And then they're going to build these stadiums for these WNBA players, and it's gonna reach the same level as the NBA, because the NBA was like that back in the day.
It was.
Not many people
When they
the
split
ABA?
and the NBA,
Yeah.
they did the split before they merged.
And then when the ABA, and they were like, we don't want the ABA because it's
Right.
too
flashy.
It's too flashy.
Too flashy.
Dr. J.
Too many blacks.
The Iceman.
You can say
too
that.
Yeah, too many black.
Too many
Remember
black
in the
players.
70s? It was
Yes.
on the front page of the newspaper. They
Yes.
see the New York Knickerbockers.
I still have that.
You have it?
I still have
that's
a
the collectors.
I still
Yeah.
have the paper where it says ABA and NBA combined. I still have that.
Yeah.
Still have that.
And so, and it happened, and hence now look, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan, and all of these players are coming in. Daryl Dawkins, and you know what I'm saying? The old school
The world's
Kareem,
changing.
Wilt Chamberlain. I can't leave this guy out from the Celtics. He has 12 rings. He has
Bill
10.
Russell.
Is it 12 or 10?
12. Bill
Yeah,
Russell.
because I saw him. He had two extra rings.
Two on each
his
finger. Yes.
Bill Russell. So it's gonna happen with the WNBA. It's just gonna take time.
Wow,
That's
you heard it
probably-
from me.
That's probably why they're paying her.
I'm gonna wait for it. I think the WNBA has they have potential. I think if they could just don't focus on a color.
Yeah.
Focus on the player.
Of the player.
And maybe the player itself, the player herself, will change the process of the game. I mean, I understand that Caitlin Clark is black. I mean she's white, and I'm not saying that she's not the face. If she's the beginning, then let the beginning begin.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of her that right now, before they even sign the contract, are making $2-3 million just on their images alone.
Yeah.
So it's a whole thing. Maybe they don't need to sign her. Maybe the image and their likeness alone will let other young ladies say, "Hey, I could do it too."
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
yeah.
it takes time.
Female ball players are no joke. They just as fast as the male players.
I gotta
You know?
say it.
And
But
they can-
if they ever can put a league together where men and women can play together, I'll definitely buy a ticket.
I mean, I saw.
They
But-
do them in street tournaments, but
I was about to say. I remember firsthand seeing. I played against a woman that she was in college and she worked. This is when I was working at Boys Town, and we were outside playing with the kids because we were able to take them outside. And there was a ball court across the street, and this is a non-security detention, and one of the female childcare workers, she was playing college, and she was good.
giving it to them.
And regular basketball, she was shooting it from beyond the 3-point. She was bang, bang, she was dribbling. She crossed me. I kind of fell a little bit. I was embarrassed. I said, you know? But fast dribbling, I couldn't guard her.
There's some
And she
female
was-
players now that are just they're dominating them.
Yeah.
I know a couple. I ain't gonna lie now. I'm with you on that. I know a couple being around and watching these girl leagues over the last 10 years. There's a couple out there.
I know football will be a little bit.
A lot of people don't really pay that type of. That type of competition used to be when you had the road runners and all of that in the Bronx. They had a lot of that little little league football, but they don't have that no more.
No.
They don't as much as they do basketball and tennis, and even hockey now is picking up in the 5 boroughs. But the football seems to. I'm not gonna say it died down. I said it looked like it's finding another lane.
Football is what's that called? Football is like a Midwest sport. It's popular in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Nebraska,
Places with fields.
yeah,
with
Texas.
rooms.
That's all football. That's all they here in the North
concrete.
region, New York, and
Concrete, man.
we the cities, the urban cities, that's basketball. You know?
That's totally concrete.
yeah. But
I don't want to make you.
oh yeah,
It's already 2:14.
all right.
My man, I appreciate
So,
everything.
we're gonna do this again, man.
Next Wednesday, we
All
on.
right.
Let's air it out next Wednesday.
I
Every Wednesday, I'm here with you.
I see something, we look for something that I'm gonna follow that anti-Semitic bill.
So am I. You made me look at that in a whole different light.
Yeah.
The fact that even going to pass a bill to eliminate, that's some shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm
That's
like,
some shit.
and I'm like,
Why is
Jesus
God
was Jewish.
Why is God such a major topic within the last year. Why?
Oh,
Before, nobody wanted to be bothered with God, nothing. Now, everybody's fighting over Holy Land. They're tearing down things in Dubai. It's a whole lot going on.
right after the eclipse, everything happened.
Everything happened.
Everything. I think, did the earthquake happen though before the eclipse?
Right before, the day before, I
before.
believe.
And that's a bad sign for this region of the world.
So now you're telling me the world is about to come to an end.
Because usually when an earthquake happens in one spot, that hardly ever happens.
That's a bad
well, it
sign.
wasn't not too long ago that it was one that it was a quick one, but not as long
It
as
shook
the one
New
we
York
just had.
City.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're not even ready for that. If that happens,
Well, you could tell from a lot of people when they felt it. Their
People were
first
scared.
reaction, their first reaction was, "Oh my God, did you feel that?"
yeah.
Like we've been through earthquakes before, but not at that. We haven't had one of a magnitude that just constantly rumbles.
Mm-hmm.
We may get the, and then that's it. You may get the 5 minute.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, what was that? But you ain't constantly get that minute shake like a lot of people get.
Oh, like in Japan.
Yeah.
And buildings were like falling down.
Come
or
on, yeah.
India too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the one thing I think the reason why the world is now kind of concerned is because of what's happening in the Middle East and how people are reacting to Jewish people now, how they're reacting to Israel. But this was written in the Old Testament. I believe it's in the book of Ecclesiastes. I was talking about how Arab nations, there will be a time that Arab nations will come and pretty much surround Israel and try to destroy Israel. And Israel's going to be alone. People are going to turn their backs because they're saying that you see that right now. That Netanyahu, this is kind of like you're killing babies and you're killing women and all of these things. But people don't understand that and this is not justifying it. There's no justification for that. But these Arab nations, they're coming. They're going to come and kind of close in on Israel, and Israel's going to destroy them all because God.
I don't know what the hell
He
is so important
proclaimed
about Israel. Israel
You
right
know what
now.
it is? Because the devil does not like God's people.
I know he doesn't.
He doesn't like the Gentile. He already has the Gentiles.
Right.
He even has the Jews too, like in certain ways. In terms of how they're kind of like confused and being affected by all of these things happening from the devil. But the devil doesn't like God's people. The devil doesn't like mankind because God loves
Mankind so much.
He loves his creation, and the devil despises that.
He's willing to do anything and everything to
Yeah.
make sure it doesn't happen.
Come on, him and his angels were just like...
He's killing it right now,
he was
too.
like, how do you love beings that are below us?
Yeah.
Angels. We're higher than them, but you love them more than us? And God was like, it's not like I love them more than you, but...
I love them just as much.
Yeah, I love them just as much.
Just as much.
He
And being that God loves us just as much, oh man, that makes them furious. To the point where I don't want to say sabotage, because an angel can't sabotage. He can do it. He or she can do it. Whatever they want to do, they're going to do it.
God is allowing this to happen because there are a lot of things that's going to come out from this.
I think a lot of it's done behind his back. I don't know if that makes sense.
Behind God's back?
Yeah, it's like
God.
that
God knows
maybe
everything.
Maybe the angels are sneaking and doing things.
God gives, like Adam and Eve. Remember when you first read Adam and Eve, God asks one of them, I believe it was Adam, right? Well, what's going on? Where's Eve? God knew exactly what transpired. He wanted Adam to tell him,
And he didn't.
and he didn't. Adam was like, came up with his own. I'm paraphrasing, but pretty much God knew exactly what happened, but he wanted him to tell him, and he didn't.
What do you think if he'd have told him the truth? Would it be different?
I think so, because God is a forgiving God. His son is an example of it.
Man, here we go. No, because you
Jesus forgave the very men that put him on that cross, that nailed him, that tortured him for all those days, and then nailed him to the cross and let him die on that cross.
And right now, to this day,
And
we
Jesus
right back in
forgives
the
him.
holy war in the same spot.
And you know what God's going to say in the end? To those who can't forgive, like for a man who cannot forgive another man, a woman cannot forgive another man, he's going to say, well, who are you? I forgive you for whatever things you do. So what makes you better than me that you can't forgive?
This one was good.
It's crazy though, but it's true. It's like, and that's what's happening right now. This is a spiritual right now on all levels. These kids killing each other out here.
It's a spiritual war.
This hot mess we have with social media, all of our black men in the music industry. This is embarrassing. P. Diddy.
Yeah.
Those
child
are making jokes.
molesters,
They're making jokes
sexual
about him.
harassment.
But that's a black man.
Right.
Right. Also, this guy, Will Smith. He got up on the stage and slapped Chris Rock. I get that, and it was wrong for what he did, and everybody was making jokes about it, and blah blah blah. But the world saw one black man come up on stage and slap another black man, and then you have these other racist white folks that saying, "See, I told you, black people are aggressive and they can't control."
They can't control, yeah. And
And
it just sees that's what's happening every time you turn on the news.
Mm-hmm.
It sees a minority's killing another minority.
Minorities
and
killing other minorities.
And we're proving them right every time we pull the trigger or stick a knife into somebody, because we can't resolve our problems any other way.
I was interviewing 88 today. Well, not me, but I was sitting on the interview, and she was saying she's a transfer. She's coming from trial bureau to Violent Criminal Enterprise Bureau, and she said when there was a question about how do you feel working with a team, or and she mentioned, oh, it's great and blah blah blah, but then she also mentioned something about how she feels when she goes into these courtrooms, and most of the people that she's prosecuting are black. And she said, she feels a certain way about it, because it makes her feel uncomfortable, because all they see is this white woman coming along. I didn't mention it.
No, man, I don't care about that.
But yeah,
this is where we air it out.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, the truth has to be spoken. The fact that she even admitted that. Yeah.
And that
for a white lawyer to admit that her walking in to prosecute black children makes her uncomfortable.
Because she's like, wow, this is all I'm seeing. And it's like,
wow.
Yeah, welcome to New York, or welcome to...
That's deep. I wish we could get her on here, because that is deep.
Yeah.
For a white lawyer to tell you that she's not comfortable with prosecuting black children,
because all she sees
is black children.
People.
Right.
Yeah.
My question is, did she get the job?
Oh, they said yes, sir.
They hired.
They did. Well, I mean, she's not hired. Yeah, she has to meet with the DA. But
basically, she'll be on board.
Yeah.
Man, that's the new DA.
It made me think. I was like,
that's the new DA. That's the new DA. Yeah, because you gotta look about it. Look, they got her concept. Just the fact of even telling y'all, or even, she said this in an interview.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to look at the concept.
Yeah.
And if she says yes, I'm gonna still take the job after what I see. That's her looking like, I got a plan. Maybe I could change all this around.
And I know the current DA, she's doing what she can to reach out to the community and come up with all of these initiatives to basically prevent the, to basically support crime prevention. But there's a lot that these folks are taking on. It's bigger than the plate just has too much food on it.
I don't blame anything that she does. I actually think she does a good job until she gets to the gun buyback. That's where
I've never agreed with the gun buybacks.
The draw the line,
even with Brown,
yeah, me too.
Me
too. I don't agree with that.
People that were coming to these places, they were bringing their grandfather's guns.
Yeah.
It was folks from upstate. It wasn't the dudes in the hood, and then it wasn't until 2019 2020. What was the next? No, it was 2021. The next gun buyback, and it was in the Wakefield section of the Bronx, and we were on foot with the DA, handing out flyers. We're doing a gun buyback. We were walking into the beauty shops and barber shops and all the stores, the Jamaican stores and everything. And there were dudes in the corner, the hood dudes, and the DA, she no joke. She came up to him and she handed them a flyer. She said, "We're doing a gun buyback," or blah blah blah. I'm the DA, and he looked at her. He sucked his teeth. He was like, "Man, I'm not bringing my gun. I need my gun in this neighborhood. You seen this neighborhood at night? No, I'm not bringing my gun in this." So the DA was like, "Oh, all right. I guess, I hope I don't have to prosecute you one day, but all right, no problem. Let's do it."
But that's tough.
But him saying that, I was like, wow.
Because it's true.
Yep.
When you live in this environment where the killer's living next door to you, how do you protect yourself? See, that's what I said. Look, I never had a problem with taking the guns off the street. I always had a problem with the way they did it.
Yeah.
The gun buyback, I think it gives a lot of people an opportunity to escape their punishment. Even though God sees what a lot of people don't see. I just feel like, nah. Your fingerprints, all of that, the serial number to the gun, all that has to take and reconcile. Because you got a lot of families out there who got unsolved cases.
Yep.
Of people who've been shot, who've been murdered by a gun or anything of that nature. And this might be the only way. So you're telling them, hey, yeah, you could turn that type of... that's the only thing I disagree with. Other than that, I think she does a fabulous job for our communities. Our communities are hurting.
Yeah.
They're hurting.
She has a lot on her plate, though.
They're hurting.
This is a lot. This is stuff that goes back before her and even Brian. Yeah, it goes back. It goes back to the 80s. It was like, when I saw the amount of kids coming into juvenile detention in the 90s, I was like, we're going to have a serious problem in the future.
And we having it now.
Now,
too.
fast forward to 2024.
And look where we at.
These
And I'm surprised she lasts this long. I'm surprised she didn't walk out the door before. And I'm not saying because nobody's getting rid of her. I'm talking about her in general.
dealing with all this.
Yes. How did she not walk out the door? This is tough. Might be the hardest seat in the 5 boroughs.
Well, because you got to remember, too, she comes from the...
I know.
She's Soundview. So
she's seen what she said.
Passion,
Yeah.
like, I can't see my people, like...
But this is beyond that. This is beyond that.
Yeah.
This is beyond that. Because the people who help are now buried. You know what I mean? And now these children are burying each other. They're not even giving each other a chance to make 8th grade.
No.
And as a prosecutor, you got to sit here and say, I gotta separate that. I got to divide this group from this group to hope that this group, like parents put that in the DA's hands, and I always said that's crazy.
Yeah.
But your child at 8 years old can go to school and shoot somebody, but we can't do nothing to your child, but yeah, we can't do nothing to you either.
Yeah.
And I think that when parents are not being able to be prosecuted for their kid's child, when that starts to happen on a full-blown regular basis, a lot of children are going to stop a lot of bullshit. Because now parents can't do the time. These kids are young. These parents ain't doing no time, especially a parent who's been home all day.
Yep. And they raised the age, so now any kids committing crimes between 9 and I believe 13, they're not going to get locked up. They're gonna
take it on their parents.
There's gonna be ACS or the courts, family court, kind of like looks for services for these kids, whatever that means, But they don't want to put kids, because kids would be in. I remember I was working in juvie. I saw a 9-year-old kid come into the facility. Actually, it was 7. The youngest age was 7.
I know
7
these agencies.
7 to 13.
These agencies like to protect the kids, but they took the belt out of the parents' hand.
Yeah.
I understand the protecting the child. That's the first and foremost. With some of these parents who were in the 70s and the 80s, people don't understand they came up on the dope and the crack, and the heroin. So it was different. It was a whole different era. Money was short. Money was tight.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know how to get no money. There was no place to eat.
And of course, Nixon and Reagan decided to say, "Hey, let's come up with these policies to put most black people in jail."
Yeah,
because it was like we're gonna have a war on drugs, not the drug dealers. Not just the drug dealers. The drug dealers and the users.
And
they're going to get the same amount of time.
And they thought about arresting the users, you'll get to the drug dealers. Yeah. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was their way of like, we're going to get rid of these black folks. We're going to get rid of a lot of these black folks, get them off the street because they are, remember this term, super predator?
Super predator.
We're super predators.
Yeah, I remember that.
People were scared of us. And that was a term that goes way back to slavery.
And that term came after the five rape in Central Park.
Mm-hmm.
They started calling us super predators. I remember
Hillary Clinton said that too. She came out of her mouth. It came out of Trump's mouth.
And then he tried to compare himself to us by having a mugshot. Boy, Trump is something else. But he just might be the person to turn the world around.
Trump?
Yeah.
He's gonna turn the world around.
He might be the devil in disguise, but the one thing he does, he knows how to generate money and keep money in our pocket. And that's what every American wants right now. They want the opportunity to make overtime. They want the opportunity to hit a number. They want the opportunity to hit lotto. And they want to be able to get a stimulus check every 8 to 9 months. I'm just being honest.
But do you think that would hurt us?
To have a stimulus check?
Yeah.
No. The thing is, if you give everybody a stimulus check, then you got to cut taxes.
Yeah, but he tried that. He cut the taxes.
Yeah, but
out
you
of our
can't
checks,
get no
right?
taxes. You can't. You'll be able to file, but you can't receive nothing because you get a stimulus. If you're getting a stimulus check every 6 months, you shouldn't worry about your tax returns
True.
because you're getting a stimulus, and your stimulus is probably going to be anywhere between $3,000 to $4,000, depending on you, your child, and your income.
Yeah, but when he was the president, he had a tax policy that you saw in your check. You had to
Yes.
take a check, right?
Yes.
But then when you filed your taxes the following year,
It was low.
it was some people owed. In fact, not even some, a lot of people owed.
Yeah, but I mean, you're asking for the man to give it to you now.
Right.
Somewhere along the line, you're gonna have to. There's no way that you're gonna keep thinking you're gonna get free money from the government.
But then here's the question too, because
Mm-hmm.
I know our taxes helps with the construction of bridges and buildings and sidewalks and all this kind of stuff. All right, war, weapons, all this kind of things. But the one that I think just keeps popping up into my head is, why am I paying somebody else money from the money that's mine, the money that I earned? Like I earned this money, right? I worked for
That's a
every
good
single
one.
penny, but then I got to give a percentage.
To somebody else,
Yeah.
to use somewhere else.
And then, I don't have a say on where that money goes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I
Right.
don't even have a say of how much taxes I can pay. It's just like, it's like the mob.
And still have to live where you put me.
That's
Yeah.
like, that's
And
like
eat the groceries that you provide.
gotta pay taxes.
Somebody said that to me. Because there's no way in the world we can pay the taxes we pay and we don't pay school tax. We pay city tax. I don't understand where the city taxes go. I'm just being honest. I don't see this. I know where the state tax. I can see what the state does. Our highways, our bridges, our
Right.
tunnels.
Right.
I can see that. I don't see the city taxes. I don't see where that goes. I don't see the pantries. I don't see the funding. I don't see the giveaways, the buybacks. I don't see none of that. I don't get to see none of that
Yeah.
with the city money. All I see is cops and firemen making a certain amount of money. Even people who lawyers and doctors, they're making certain type of budget money. And I'm not angry at that. You
Right.
know, they earn that with their degrees. But what about the person who's been working in the supermarket for 20 years? Remarkable that a chain that can stay open that long, but what do you give him? Every man who works 20 years, I don't care where he works, should be acceptable for a check every month after 20 years. He should be eligible to say, you know what, I give you $1,000 a month for 20 years for the rest of your life because you worked 20 years.
You know what? I learned this in economics. There's something called fixed costs.
Mm-hmm.
Fixed costs hurts businesses. GM paid for it big time. Remember when they had to close down?
Yes.
But
I gotta
the,
look that
the
up.
retired folks,
That's what that was from?
GM pays you for the rest of your life.
For the
once you
rest of your
leave.
life. Once you leave, yes.
Which, GM was like, but they're stuck with it because that's the contract. So you have businesses like Walmart that tries to avoid that. That's why now they have healthcare and all that. Healthcare is fixed cost. It's a fixed cost. You can't avoid it. As a business owner.
As long as you're employed.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the employee.
Because
I'm talking about the
city
employer.
the city has the same thing.
Right.
But once you retire or you move on, you only get a certain amount of days after that.
Right. Certain amount of days of
Insurance.
Right.
Yeah. So
But it's a fixed cost, and fixed costs. Business people try to avoid them as much as possible, and that's the reason why you had. Remember that Governor Kathy Hochul? I think she passed it, or was it Cuomo? Like if you have a business of 10 employees or more, I'm not sure. You have to pay them health coverage, and you have to give them. You have to provide them health coverage and sick leave, or something like that. That's a fixed cost. That's a cost for your business that you have to pay no matter what. You can't avoid it.
that's about $50,000 a year.
And that hurts your profit.
Yes, it does.
That could hurt because all businesses want to know this. The key word is profit margin. what's my profit margin? And a profit margin basically tells you whether you have enough to open up another franchise, another restaurant, or another business.
Right.
Or you want to pay if you're listed on the NASDAQ. If you have shares, you can, because some people finance their company through investments. So they use that. So people who invest in they pay money into your company, and at the end of the year, they want the dividends. So now you got to look at how much cash you have, and what your profit margin is. What is your profit margin? They call that liquidity. And if you don't have enough, or even if you do, you have an option. You can pay your shareholders, or you can take that money and put it into your company and build another company and expand.
You gotta make me look that up.
But yeah,
I'm gonna be rich. Messing with you, I'm gonna be rich.
Fixed costs hurts that.
Oh man.
It hurts that.
I'm gonna look that up too. Fixed costs is something that we're gonna talk about next time.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Yeah. Man, the smile on my face too, man.
we
every Sunday, man. Till we meet next Sunday. Next Wednesday.
Wednesday.
We'll meet every Wednesday.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll
come down and
come on down and chill out, man.
Talk about how hip hop has changed.
Yeah, we can talk about everything. But you're very hip. I appreciate you, man.
Oh yeah, man. Thanks.
You're very acknowledgeable, man.
Till
we meet again, brother.
Now
you learn a lot. You taught me something. Fixed income and everything else.
Fixed costs.
Especially the situation with the Bible, man. That right there, that really made me.
If that happens, oh man.
Man, I'm telling you, it changed the world of the economy. Man.
Because we already have to there. There are a lot of these kids that don't care about
I know they don't.
Care about
I
the
know.
church. So they don't have interest in reading the scriptures. The people that read the scriptures are like folks our age that know about God. And there are young folks too that are, I'm not saying every young person in the world doesn't know anything about it. No, there are some folks out there that do that. But I was telling a friend of mine yesterday on Facebook, I said, you got to remember that Jesus Christ is not a rock star.
Wow.
People like rock stars.
Wow.
But Jesus, he never was.
But treated like one.
He's treated like one. If you read the scripture, in the scriptures, he's not a rock star. He's not. He has his disciples, and but there was a majority of people that was just didn't agree with what he was saying, and they saw it firsthand when he died and he rose again. And in the book of Acts, when they went out and started preaching, they were getting opposition everywhere. Demons was coming at him.
A lot of people don't like love, man. Love is a dangerous word for a lot of people.
True love.
True love. That's a good one. True love.
God's love transcends everything else. Our love doesn't mean anything. If I give a man $2 on the street and I don't, and then times I forget to say it, I didn't give this to you, God gave this to you. But there are people out there that don't do that. They'll say, I'm going to go to heaven because I give.
Right.
And, God was like...
I don't say that. Usually when I give, the person say thank you, and I said, no, it's you. I should thank because by the grace of God, there goes I.
There you go.
I always say that.
I give because I know I'm working.
Yeah.
I'll get another $2.
In another 2 weeks. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Sometimes I just give because it's the right thing to do. Just because it looks like you're in trouble and you need help, I give. I don't even care about the reward. Sometimes I don't even say it doesn't even matter if God is, it doesn't matter. I just do it.
You hear people give and then they say, because I'm going to get it back in my taxes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow. Okay.
I just give because it's something to do. You go through all this, as growing up a Catholic, you go through all this, and one of the main things you hear all the time is God is a giving God. So you give. You just give out of generosity because they put that in your brain. It's okay to give. So you give. So if I take that 5 instead of buying what I wanted, you know what? You could take this 5 and go ahead and have a good day.
Yeah.
I might have made your day.
I gave someone 20 one time.
I don't mind. I do it too.
I did. I was like, I forgot someone got mad at me. Like, man, you giving them $20? I know I'll get $20 later.
I'll get it back. Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And even if I didn't, he really needs it, or she needs it.
You know
what I mean?
Never know. He might take that 20, hit that lotto. It might be your day. See you again. You never know. Yo, man, I was holding $1 million for you.
Man, if I won a lot of you, I would. First thing I would do is I would invest in a school.
Yeah. I don't know what I would do. My mind would be on the concept that I at first I couldn't believe God even loved me enough to give it to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the first thing I had to get my mind on. Like, God, you love me that much that you would give me enough like this to feed my family, friends, and foes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's crazy. Me? Why me, Lord? You could chose anybody else. My family, my friends, and my foes. People's like, well, why would you feed your foes? Why not feed your enemy? They hungry too. You can't forget. Listen, you can't forget.
Yeah.
If you don't feed the enemies, then God won't feed you either.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
always a pleasure, man. I'll tell
All
you,
right,
I
man.
thank you, man. Appreciate you, man.
I'll see you next Wednesday.
Yes, next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. Yeah.
All right. You want to leave this open?
Yeah, you can leave it open. Thank you.